All right, going live now. And I think we are officially up and running. Yeah, all right. Good morning, everybody. It is Sunday, the best day of the week this time of year. It's been a good week. It's been a pretty good week all around. NBA's been awful, but we did win money in NBA last night. Shout out to Army Navy for somehow blowing the under. The game was 10-7 with a minute 50 left. Jesus Christ. But you know what? I even wrote on the app. I wrote in my thing for that game, I don't want to spend any time on this game because I get like, it's a cool tradition and I always watch it every year. But let's be honest, like as far as just a random, like a general college football fan goes, I really don't care too much about that game. Obviously, I'm gonna bet it because I'm a goddamn degenerate, but I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it. All right, so we got
punches.
NFL to
The
go
game
through.
is a pile of dog
Enough
shit.
with the bullshit. First game up, Texans at Cowboys, and I will go first. My pick is Houston plus 17.5. I'm not thrilled about it, and it's not even close to one of my favorite bets or anything. Let me pull out my notes real quick. All right, so the truth is, so obviously there's the whole don't ever lay 17 points in an NFL game that people say, but you know what? Houston was getting like 14 and a half a couple weeks back or whenever that was against the Dolphins, and the Dolphins covered. So there's no blind rules in the NFL. You got to just play with how you feel. But I actually think I found a couple angles here that show that Houston could somewhat maybe make this game interesting. Keep in mind, it's 17 and a half points, so we're not looking to match these teams up 50-50 here. And the Cowboys look good as hell. They've been blowing teams out. Keep in mind, the Colts were a 2-point conversion away from tying that game last week, late in the third quarter. Like 2 minutes left in the third quarter, the game could have been tied 21-21. Believe it or not, Houston's actually been doing a decent job against the run recently, which was not the case a month and a half ago. Miami wasn't able to run the ball against Houston. Washington wasn't able to run the ball against Houston. The Giants rushed for 191 yards on the Texans, but they had 47 carries in that game. So really not that efficient at all. The Houston Texans' run defense is performing at a much higher level than it was earlier in the season. And that's huge when you're talking about a 17.5 point spread. Because think about it. If Dallas is up 20 points in the third quarter, obviously they're going to be running the ball a lot. If Houston's able to force a few punts in that situation, that could be the difference between a backdoor cover and another Dallas Cowboys touchdown. But it's not just that. Keeping the Cowboys' run game in check is also important because the truth is Dak Prescott really hasn't been playing that well. I mean, he doesn't look terrible. He looks okay. But he's thrown 3 interceptions in his last 2 games, 5 interceptions in his last 4 games. I mean, on the season, Dak's got 13 touchdowns, 7 picks. Certainly not elite. Houston definitely has a couple key injuries. They're missing Collins and what the hell's that other wide receiver's name? He used to be on the Saints. Someone?
Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks.
What the hell's his name? That wide receiver the Texans has, he used to be on the Saints. I can't think of his name. But you know who I'm talking about.
So that he can't hear us.
Why can't I
now.
hear you guys? Hold on. I know why, because I muted you both. Now I can hear you. Sorry about that. So, what did someone say his name?
Yeah, Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, his name is Brandon
Cooks. That's it. My bad. It's early as shit. Anyway, so Houston's missing those 2 guys, but the truth is, my angle with the Houston offense lies more with Damian Pierce in the run game. Not that I think this offense is going to do much against Dallas. It's just 17.5 points, and I feel more comfortable having them. Historically, Dak Prescott has beaten the shit out of bad teams. It's kind of what he does, so I completely understand if someone's laying the points. I just can't get there. Who wants to go second? I want someone to just go second for the day, so we don't have to.
I'll go third for the day.
All right, Sean.
Second, Sean.
All right, yeah. So I'm laying the 17 and a half with the Cowboys. It's like you said, part of the thing is I hate laying this many points, but I just can't get here. Like Texans catching 2 touchdowns, over 2 touchdowns 2 weeks ago versus the Dolphins. Didn't cover that number. Made an effort, almost didn't cover by 1. But this Cowboys team is defense is way better than that Dolphins defense that the Texans made a comeback against. Dameon Pierce, I think, can have success running the ball here versus Cowboys defense. They are susceptible to giving up plays in the run game. However, I expect them to be trailing almost this entire game, and that's going to take away Dameon Pierce's rushing attempts. They're going to be trying to throw it with Davis Mills, who's now back as starting quarterback after they benched him for no reason 2 weeks ago. Just waste to try Kyle Allen the last couple weeks. But that being said, I have no choice but to lay the 17.5 with the Cowboys because of that. And no Nico Collins, no Brandon Cooks, and no Derek Stingley, as you pointed out. That's 3 huge losses for this Texans offense. I just don't know how they move the ball if Pierce, they get away from the running game with Pierce. And I would much rather be holding a Dallas ticket than having to sweat out the Texans covering 17.5.
Yeah, that's actually, I forgot to mention that Texans corner being out. That's huge. Especially because CeeDee Lamb is really starting to come into his own recently. So that is a big factor. I forgot to mention that. All right, Mr. Prop Beaver.
Yeah, I'm just going to do everybody a huge favor here. I'm not betting this game. It's a pile of shit. On to the next one.
Scared to bet. Got it. I just want to make sure everyone sees scared to bet under your face, because that's where it belongs. All right, let's move on to the next game. Only 11 games on this slate, kind of weak. Next up, Cleveland at Cincinnati. So let's go ahead and get rid of our picks and start from scratch. I'll go first, and I'm on Cleveland. Cleveland plus 5.5. There we go. All right. So, Cincinnati's one of the most public bets on the board today, and I completely see why, by the way. It's not like the public's being idiots here. I get it. The Bengals look great. Joe Burrow looking like an MVP candidate. Completely get all that. And if you consider what the Bengals have done recently, 5.5 is a pretty short line to lay at home against a Cleveland team that really hasn't impressed anyone. I completely understand all that, but Cincinnati just never beats this team. The Browns have won 5 in a row against the Bengals, 7 of their last 8. Joe Burrow has never beaten the Cleveland Browns once in his career. He's 0-4. Now, obviously, that's not going to be the case forever. Joe Burrow is eventually going to beat the Browns, and today's as good a spot as any for that streak to break. But 5.5 points, we're not just betting on who's going to win. 5.5 points, gotta lean Cleveland. Nick Chubb has monster numbers on his career against Cincinnati. Now, and I also think, now this, you might hear this and be like, no way, but I honestly think Deshaun Watson is playing with a little bit of house money here. It was almost like worst case, well, it wasn't worst case scenario last week because Cleveland did win. Worst case scenario would have been if the Browns were to lose to the Texans, but it was almost worst case scenario as far as how he performed. He looked awful. And we all know what was going on in the stadium. Some of his alleged victims were there. A lot of people, I'm sure, yelling some hateful stuff. All that. I'm sure there was a ton on Deshaun Watson's mind last week other than football. And that's still going to be the case to an extent. But I think that first game, it's been 2 years. And then we finally saw him. And, I think it's almost like he got over that mountain. And now it's a little bit down of a downhill slope. He's going to get more and more comfortable. Like I said, we're not going to see a night and day difference. It's going to take time before we see Deshaun Watson look like Deshaun Watson again, if ever, by the way. But I think there's no way that he'll perform as poorly this week as he did last week. And there's nothing from the Cincinnati Bengals defense that's giving me much confidence that they're going to step up and stop Nick Chubb. In the last 4 games, they've won 4 in a row. The offense looks great, but they're allowing 23 points a game in that stretch. So it's not like the defense is playing shutdown. And then historically, the Bengals can't run on the Browns. And that's the weakness of the Browns defense. If you're forced to drop back and pass 40, 45 times against Cleveland, that pass rush is going to make plays. So I'm taking the points.
Yeah, I'm with you as well on the Browns plus the 5.5. One of my favorite bets this weekend. Like you said, the Browns actually own the Bengals. They've won 5 in a row. As you pointed out, Burrow has never beaten them, and it's mainly because of this Browns pass rush. Earlier in their matchup, the Browns sacked him 5 times earlier this year. Last year they sacked him 5 times as well, and in 2020 in their 2 matchups versus the Bengals, they generated 33 pressures and 7 sacks in those 2 games. They get after Joe Burrow, and just whoever the Bengals quarterback is. This D-line is a huge mismatch for the Bengals O-line. And if they're able to harass Burrow, force him into some mistakes, get him to the ground, they can really set this Bengals offense back. And as you said, Nick Chubb should be able to have a good game versus the Bengals on the ground. And I do expect a better performance out of Watson. People forget, he was dealing with all the stuff, returning back to Houston. As you pointed out, his victims or people that are suing him were at the game, and he was probably dealing with a lot of off the field stuff that most players don't have to deal with. Now he's out in Cincinnati, no real pressure, and people forget he hasn't played in like 2 years. So rust was expected. He got his feet wet. He's back now. I expect a good performance out of Deshaun in this one.
Agreed. Mr. Beaver?
Yeah, so I'm definitely on the Browns with you here. Sorry, Jess. I know you're rooting for Cincy in the comments, but I like the Browns a lot here. Yeah, she is. I don't know what.
Why, Jess? All right, anyway, go on.
Okay, anyways. And my main prop for this game that I actually like quite a bit is Deshaun Watson under 19.5 completions, minus 112 on Barstool. Over the 5 games that the Browns have beaten Cincy in a row, the Browns are averaging just 24 pass attempts to 33 rush attempts. That's a 57.8 rush play percentage. That would be first in the NFL this season. As a result, just once in the last 7 games has a Browns QB completed 17 or more passes against the Bengals. They are averaging just 15.5 completions per game. Now, Watson's obviously more talented than these quarterbacks. We know that. But, I mean, did you see the guy last night game? He barely knows the system, and he has very little chemistry with his receivers. That led to 12 completions on 22 attempts against a weak Texans secondary. Now he has to face the Bengals, who are first in opponent completion percentage. As a result, they're allowing the 3rd fewest completions per game at home, 16.8. Opposing QBs are 8-4 to the under on their completions prop, and Cincy has held all 5 QBs they faced at home under their completions prop. Every single article I read on this game is saying Deshaun Watson's going to use the legs. Deshaun Watson's going to use the legs. And I believe them because his rush prop total for this game is at 25.5. That's pretty high. I've been seeing a lot of things about them possibly doing some wishbone formation with Kareem Hunt as well as Nick Chubb. And ultimately, I just don't think they're going to pass him much. I don't think Cincy asked them to pass him much. And I think that the Browns not only cover, but Watson goes under the mark.
I like that. I didn't realize. I mean, I knew that Watson had a terrible game, and I looked at the numbers, but I didn't even make that connection that 12 completions, and now his completion total's at 19.5. Like, I expect him to improve, but you're talking about a 75% increase in his completed passes. And to answer some comments, the reason Jess is rooting for Cincinnati is because she goes there every year for a tennis tournament. And I knew that. She's told me that a bunch of times. It's early, Jess. I'm sorry. And Troy Torrance in the comments. Of course, Joe Burrow's definitely sitting there thinking about how he's never beat Cleveland before. But you know what? He was thinking about that a few weeks back on Halloween when Cleveland beat the brakes off Cincinnati on primetime by, I think it was 32-13. So he was thinking it back then, a month ago also. So, and he still lost. I don't really think it's on Joe Burrow. It's the pass rush from Cleveland and the Cleveland run game. That's what beats the Bengals every time. It's not necessarily that Joe Burrow sucks against Cleveland. He just doesn't have the time.
Yeah.
So next game. All right. What's next? Jets at Bills. All right. So I got 2 bets. 2 bets. I'm laying the points with Buffalo. And I'm taking Jets team total under 16.5, and it's juiced to minus 120, but there's a reason for that. Hold on, let me send her this text. I'm sorry, I'm still learning the program, so I know that the picks are a little crazy looking on the screen. I promise by next Sunday, like, everything will be running smooth. So anyway, Bills minus 10, Jets team total under. So, public super heavy on the Jets. Actually, when I looked around 8 o'clock this morning, the Jets were the second most public bet on the board, which is kind of crazy, Jets against Bills. But they are getting 10 points, and they have been good. Number still hasn't moved back to 9.5, and I feel like that's the books showing us their position here. That's them making a statement. They are strong on the Bills. This bet is certainly not me supporting Josh Allen and the Bills offense. In fact, I think the Bills might struggle to move the ball in this game. The Jets defense has been great all year. In fact, I saw that. They're ranked number 5 in defensive DVOA in the NFL. So the Jets are a top 5 defense. Seriously, that's a pill to swallow. And this isn't week 6 anymore. We're in week 14 and the Jets are still a top 5 defense. So how am I going to lay 10 points with an offense that I don't think is going to perform very well? Simple, because the matchup on the other side between the Bills defense and the Jets offense is a huge mismatch. No one's really talking about it, but Buffalo's defense is back. They were injured earlier in the year, right? And then right about the time where they got 4 defensive starters back. But in that same week, Von Miller got hurt. So the lead story was Von Miller getting hurt. So the public automatically went to like, oh, Bills defense takes a hit. They completely missed the fact that Tre'Davious White was back. Greg Rousseau was back. That other edge rusher, Epinesa, he's back. And there was another guy, a linebacker, that they got back. So they got 4 starters back that week.
Milano, I think, was the one that came back.
Yeah, but he only missed a game or two. But the point is, they got like 4 starters back the week that Von Miller got hurt. So it's almost like they snuck those starters in there because they missed the headlines. Mike White has looked good in the past couple weeks, but let's not forget that this is a guy who got beat out for a starting quarterback job by Joe Flacco and then Zach Wilson. That's not something that's like, that wasn't an accident. Happened twice. I mean, clearly the Jets coaching staff see a lot more from Mike White in practice than we do. And yeah, just like last year, we've seen him make some plays in the last 2 weeks, but he isn't the guy, or at least I don't think he is. He kind of reminds me of a poor man's Taylor Heineke, where it's like he's got a little bit of magic to him, but the talent just isn't there. Buffalo's defense is officially back. I don't think the Jets reach 14 points in this game, so I'm going to say final score, Bills 27, Jets 13. Bills win and cover.
Yeah, I am with you laying the points here with the Bills. The Jets beat the Bills outright just a few weeks ago. And now they're a 10-point dog. Like that just tells you all you need to know about how the market views these teams. And I do think this Bills defense, as you pointed out, is healthier now at this point. Josh Allen also got hurt in that Jets game when they faced earlier in the year. His arm is getting healthier. He's going to be able to make all the throws in this one. Gardner and Diggs, again, is going to be a good matchup on the outside. But I just think this Bills offense has too many weapons. And then, like you pointed out, this Bills defense is healthy now. And Mike White, give him credit, he almost led the comeback versus the Vikings, took a shit on the Bears in his first start. That being said, it's the Bears and the Vikings. Those 2 secondaries are absolutely garbage. This is a huge step up in competition for them. And like you said, I think the Bills roll.
Cool. Yeah, we're on the same page. Mr. Beaver.
Yeah. I'm a Jets fan, as most of you know. I love this team. I think we got a lot of moxie. But this whole idea that Mike White is a good quarterback in the NFL is some of the most laughable fucking shit I've ever heard in my entire life. I'm sorry, but did you see the game against the Vikings last week? Yeah, he threw for 370 yards, but it took 57 attempts to get there. I mean, he had 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a passer rating of 59.8. That's against the Vikings, who I would consider right now probably one of the worst pass defenses in football. Now you have to face the Bills. Tre'Davious White is getting healthier and healthier by the week. They know that Garrett Wilson burned their ass the last time. They're going to try and counteract that. And I just simply don't trust the Jets' run game. I think if there's any weakness on this Bills team, it's that rush defense. But Michael Carter and Zonovan Knight, I'm just not in the biggest, camp of trust with either of those characters. And I don't see them making that big of an impact on this game. Meanwhile, you got the Bills, who on the other side, like the Bills offense is struggling lately. I'll give you that. But look at the Bills at home so far. Let me pull up some of these scores. 31, 30, 27, 38, 41. I mean, and they weren't playing horrible defenses in that either. Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Green Bay. Like, all I'm saying is that they're making us lay these 10 points with the Bills for a reason, and I'm going to go ahead and do so. I believe in it. And another bet that I have for this game is James Cook over 50.5 rush plus receiving yards. That kind of feeds into the fact that I think the Bills cover this big number. Last game against the Pats, we saw his snaps double. 14 to 32. He combined for an 105-yard effort against the Patriots, who are one of the best defenses in the NFL against running backs. Now he's going to face a Jets defense that over the last 9 weeks are allowing the second most targets, 7th most receptions, and 6th most receiving yards to opposing RBs. This is a beautiful matchup for him. And what really stood out to me is the fact that they weren't giving him the ball at the end of the game when they had control against the Patriots. They were giving him the ball in the second drive. They think he's going to be a pivotal part of this team down the playoff stretch, and so do I. So I think we're getting at 50.5 right now for total yards. That's going to be a steal down the stretch, I believe.
The game's in Buffalo, Jess, not in New Jersey, by the way. And, while we were live, the Browns line dropped to 4.
It's at 3.5 on FanDuel right now.
3.5 on DraftKings, 3.5 on FanDuel, 4 on MGM. Holy shit! So, and the public's on Cincinnati, so they're just trying to draw a bunch of last-minute Bengals dollars in. I'm still like Cleveland. As long as it doesn't drop below 3, I'm on Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm on the money line.
Yeah, so you got lost a little bit of value there. That's crazy that it just dropped. But yeah, I'm still on
I'm
Cleveland.
waiting for maybe Mixon's out.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, was that, AJ, weren't you saying last night that you read something on The Athletic that the Bengals like P. Ryan better than Mixon?
I mean, personally, if you're just looking at the level of play this year, it's pretty clear that Samaje Perine's the better back. And fans are seeing that too. So I think that a lot of people are up in arms and they want Perine to be the lead back. Are you saying that Joe Mixon's confirmed out for this game?
No, all I'm saying is that line dropped 2 whole points since we started the show. That was at 5.5, 45 minutes ago. So.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Next game, Eagles at G-Men. I'll go first, and I'm on the Birds 2 ways. I'm on Philly -7, Philly first half -4. AJ, could you do me a favor while I'm talking? Look up to see if there's an update for Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
All right.
He's ducking.
So, everyone's on the Giants here. Let me just check to make sure that's still true because we're getting some crazy movement right now. Yeah, 80% of the money is on the Giants. Everyone's taking that +7, but still the number will not drop down to 6.5. In fact, some books have this Eagles -7 juiced up to -115, which means that this line might be closer to moving to 7.5 than it is to dropping down to 6.5.
It was actually at 7.5 for a half hour last night.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's closer to moving to 7.5 than it is back down to 6.5. Which is why I want to know if Saquon Barkley's playing. Is that the reason, or do the books just love the Birds here? We'll see. So normally I'd say a running back being injured should never have that big of an impact on your handicap, but Saquon Barkley's usage rate in the Giants offense is first in the NFL. So him being out would definitely be significant for sure. The Giants' pass defense has been absolutely dreadful, especially against wide receiver ones since Adoree Jackson went down. They've played 2 games without him, and CeeDee Lamb cooked them. Then Terry McLaurin cooked them. Giants run 47.2% of their defensive snaps in man coverage. That's first in the NFL. A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, the second best rated combination quarterback wide receiver against man coverage. The best is Burrow to Jamar Chase. So you're talking about a team that runs nothing but man. Well, not nothing but man. A team that runs more man coverage by far than any other team in the NFL, missing their top corner against a quarterback wide receiver combination that have absolutely torched man coverage all year. Keep in mind, we're just talking about the Eagles pass game right now. Philadelphia is first in the NFL in rushing efficiency. This is the best rated run team in the NFL as well, against the 27th ranked Giants defense against the run. And Leonard Williams is out for the Giants on the defensive interior. Definitely going to hurt the run defense. Look, there's not many numbers that you're going to find that point to the Giants being the correct bet here. You're just not going to find that. All the numbers point to a Philadelphia Eagles blowout. If you're betting the Giants, you're simply going with, hey, it's a division game, It's at home in the Meadowlands, and they shouldn't be laying a full touchdown. And I get that. That's a completely logical bet. I do that shit all the time. Like, yo, this is just too big for a divisional game. I'm taking the points. I do it all the time. Personally, in this game, I'm following the numbers because I don't think the Giants are very good. I don't like Daniel Jones. I don't think Saquon Barkley's healthy. A neck injury, that's sketchy. I don't think the Giants defense are making many stops in this game. Give me the Birds. But like I said, it's a division game, so anything could happen. I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles win 48-3, but I also wouldn't be surprised if the Giants win 9-7. Like, it's the NFC East, man. This shit's crazy. But I think the numbers are pretty clear that Eagles blowout is the most likely scenario.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier in the week. I don't love the 7 laying it on the road in a division game. I said to you that I'm really holding out hope and was holding out hope that this would get to 6.5, but it doesn't look like it's coming. I'm gonna have no choice, and I don't feel any problems laying the 7 here with the Eagles. Every aspect of football, the Eagles are better. They have a better quarterback play. Saquon Barkley is definitely better than Miles Sanders and the running backs the Eagles have, but the Eagles' run game in general is better than the Giants. The Eagles' D-line's better, their O-line's better, their defense secondary's better. Just coaching, I actually like Dabble, but Nick Sirianni, I think, will still have the coaching advantage over the Giants here. It's just everything that you know about football points to the Eagles here. Like you said, the Giants aren't very good. We talked about it all year. We got hate on the show because we said, like, the crash is coming. They can't keep getting away with being like 23rd in DVOA and being 6-0, 5-0, whatever they were at the time. That being said, yeah, I'm laying the 7 here. AJ Brown should cook, and I think Miles Sanders and Hurts get it done on the ground as well. And as you pointed out, Saquon he's questionable. Even if he does play, it's not like it's like a hand injury or like even a hamstring or something. It's a neck. If he gets hit the wrong way or something like that, like, I think there's a good chance that he doesn't finish this game.
Beaver?
Yeah, I firmly agree with you, Sean, and that's why I have Saquon Barkley under 68.5 rush yards, minus 115 for a full unit. The only book that has this right now is FanDuel. And honestly, I would jump on it because let's just say there's like one of those stupid underdog updates and it's like, oh, Saquon's going to only play 50% of the snaps today. Well, that line is going to drop dramatically. So I decided to play it now. Here's the reason why. I mean, over the last 3 games, Barkley has 124 yards on 44 attempts. That's good for 2.8 yards per carry. That's absolutely piss. And these weren't like defensive rush juggernauts either. It was the Commanders, Cowboys, and Lions who are on the bottom half of the league in rush yards per carry allowed. The Eagles defense has struggled on the year against the run, but they just held the trio of Aaron Jones, Derrick Henry, and Jonathan Taylor to combined 3.48 yards per carry, and all 3 of those running backs went under their rushing prop total. And also, let's just look at the history against Philly. He's gone under his last 3 or 4 games, and in his 2 games against them last year, he had 40 and 32 yards, averaging 2.57 yards per carry. Add on the fact that this guy's dealing with a literal neck ailment, and as Sean said, one wrong hit, and he's going to be out of the game. I think there's a ton of value there on the under, so give me Saquon Barkley under 68.5. And of course, give me them Eagles minus 7. Giants are the most fraudulent dog shit team in all of football. They're actually about to get pounded today.
Bad news, guys. While we were talking, the line has dropped. It moved to Philly minus 7.5. While we were talking.
Yeah, that's fine. Happening. I'm here to win bets. I don't care about CLV trophies.
Yeah, I mean, I'd still be on the Eagles. But yeah, it's 7.5 on DraftKings, 7.5 on MGM, PointsBet, all have 7.5. I'm still seeing 7 on FanDuel though. All right.
Yeah, I'm actually on FanDuel right now. It's still 7. It's minus 115 though.
I think it's gonna.
I went on to place that.
Usually, DraftKings and FanDuel are pretty. They follow each other. One moves, the other one's probably moving soon. Next game, Jags at Titans. I'm on Tennessee. In them Titans. Super public play here by me. Jags are definitely the sharp side. No doubt about it. I am going to lay the 3.5. Now, here's my reasoning. So, for starters, all of the AFC South trends have held true this year so far. The Texans always beat the Jags in Houston. They did. Jags always beat the Colts in Jacksonville. They did. Colts always lose week 1. They did. Derrick Henry always rips the Texans apart. He did. Another one of those trends is the Tennessee Titans absolutely own the Jacksonville Jaguars, Derrick Henry included. Tennessee is 9-1 against the Jags in their last 10 with an average margin of victory of 12.1. Tennessee doesn't just beat the Jags, they beat the shit out of the Jags. Like, they abuse this team. Derrick Henry, and this is another angle I kind of like. Derrick Henry has not had a good game in what feels like forever. You know that Derrick Henry, check this out. Derrick Henry has not averaged more than 3.1 yards a carry in a football game since November 6th. It's over a month ago. Jacksonville's defense is pretty average against the run. It's definitely not bad, but Henry's due for a big game. Derrick Henry's last 6 games against Jacksonville, ready for this? He's averaging 145 rushing yards per game, 6.54 yards per carry, and 12 touchdowns. Yeah, this dude averages $145 and 2 touchdowns a game in his last 6 against the Jags. Look, I like Trevor Lawrence a lot, and I actually think we're watching Trevor Lawrence turn a huge corner in his career. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a great quarterback moving forward in the NFL. You know what it is? The reason people are down on Trevor Lawrence is, and maybe this is just a theory, most people don't watch college football. They just like watch the NFL draft, and like that's how they know where people went to college. And then so that you'll get people like that are just quick to pull the plug on a guy like Trevor Lawrence and make, oh, this guy's clearly a bust, definitely a disappointment. But those of us who watch college football have seen like a shitload from this dude at Clemson. He is super talented. Now, that doesn't always mean it translates into an elite NFL career, but there's no way that this dude, that it's fair to call this dude a bust or a disappointment. He's turning the corner right now. He looks better and better every week. That being said, this Titans defense is really good. Really good. The Eagles got him last week, but if you take out that game, I mean, this team held Patrick Mahomes to 17 in regulation. They held Joe Burrow to 20 points. I mean, if you take the Eagles game out, do you want to know the last time the Titans allowed more than 20 points in a game, if you remove last week? Week 3. I mean, and they're playing the top offenses in the NFL. Nobody scores on this team. I don't like the spot for Trevor Lawrence. I'm on Tennessee.
Yeah, hard to argue against your logic, but I am on the Jaguars here, plus the 3.5. As soon as I was on the Titans if Lawrence was going to be out, but the fact that Lawrence is in, I have to take the points here with the Jaguars. They are a different team on the road. They've struggled on the road this year, obviously. That being said, this Titans secondary is super banged up. AJ talked about it before the show. Christian Fulton is out. And you just watched Jalen Hurts just go nuclear on this Titans secondary last week. And far be it for me to say, I mean, I think Lawrence is actually a better pure passer than Jalen Hurts. This Jaguars offense has weapons on the outside. I think Christian Kirk can go crazy today versus this Titans secondary. As long as they limit the turnovers, I think the Jaguars are not only going to cover this number, but I think they're live to win the game outright. And I do love the fact that I have a head coach like Doug Peterson on the outside. That's a guy, he's going to go for it. Big balls Doug. Seen it for years here as the Eagles head coach. If they're within the number, to have a chance to put themselves in position to win this game, he's going to go for it. He's going to go for it on 4th down. He's going to go for 2, as we saw against the Ravens. So I like catching the points with a coach like that against an injured secondary.
And this morning's crazy. This line has moved since the show started. Most books have dropped this down to an even 3. Even further hammering home the point that the books like Jacksonville here, that the Jags are the sharp side. I'm still betting Tennessee. That line drop is terrifying, though, because the public's on Tennessee and they're still dropping it. Shit. I'm still in the Titans. How about Prop Beaver?
Yeah, so if I had to lean aside, I would probably go Titans -3, and that's just a simple fade of the Jaguars on the road. The team is so bad on the road. They just find new ways to lose games. It's insane. What I do like here is I like the over. It's 5-2 in the last 7 meetings at Tennessee, which I like, and the over is 5-1 in the last 6 Jags road games. Now you take out Christian Fulton for that Titans secondary. You take out Elijah Molden, who was at first the slot corner for this team. He is also out. You're going to be having McCreary, who plays the slot corner, most likely getting abused by Christian Kirk all game. So I think that there's a lot of opportunities actually for the Jaguars to move the ball through the air. And then the Tennessee Titans, they're just so creative. It doesn't matter. No Treylon Burks, no problem. They will find, so they'll throw it like Chig Okonkwo or whatever for like an 80-yard bomb. And we're going to be sitting there like, what the fuck? That's what the Titans do. They've been quite good at that for a very long time. So I like that. And then I'm going to go also with Christian Kirk over 63.5 receiving yards. 1 unit on FanDuel. This was the play coming into this week. I've been waiting on a line for all week long. Finally dropped this morning with the Trevor Lawrence injury news that he is indeed playing. And it's because the Titans rush D so stout. They're going to try and stop Travis Etienne. We already know that because the Jaguars have made it clear Etienne is their workhorse. But now they're going to face a Titans secondary that allows the 9th most yards per game, 2nd most pass attempts per game, and is 21st in DVOA against wide receiver ones. And while that is some great news for our bet, that's not even why I'm here. It's the slot receivers against Tennessee. They are cooking these dudes. Devonta Smith, 5 receptions, 102 yards. Randall Cobb, 6 receptions, 73 yards. McCole Hardman, 6 receptions, 79 yards. Paris Gamble, 10 receptions, 70 yards. These receivers are getting steady looks, and guess what? None of them are being paid as much as Christian Kirk. On top of that, Christian Kirk faced the Titans once before. He faced them in the season opener last year. I don't know if you remember that, but guess what? He was the 2nd or 3rd option on the Arizona team, and he had 5 receptions for 70 yards and 2 TDs. I think as the number 1 option, he should go off. He's 4-2 to the over on the road, where the Jaguars' defense is worse. And I think there's going to be plenty of pass opportunities for him. 63.5 is way too low, simply put.
Yeah, you were telling me last night before you left that you liked Kirk's over. So I'll probably tail you on that. Yo, do you guys hear the ding, ding? Do you guys hear that? I'm not talking to the viewers. I'm talking to AJ and Sean. Do you guys hear that? Oh,
I don't hear it.
I got to get rid of that. Whenever somebody clicks subscribe, it goes ding, and it's in my ear. Jesus Christ. Anyway, next game. So let's get rid of this. Next game's Detroit at Minnesota, and I saw Sean tweeting about this game, right? He was tweeting like, "This is not
annoying shit all week."
Yeah, when he saw it, I was like, when he tweeted that, I was like, "What is he talking about? I don't see anyone talk about this." Yo, this game on YouTube, I put this one up. This has the most views by far. Everyone's talking about this game. This has more views than Giants-Eagles, which is crazy. Usually, a Giants-Eagles or a Giants-Cowboys will be my most viewed video. No, it's Lions-Vikings. My most viewed video this week. Yeah, I honestly, I don't really understand what people aren't seeing. In the last 5, yeah, okay, the Vikings are 10-2 and the Lions are 5-7. I get that. But in the last 5 games, both of these teams are 4-1, and the Lions have looked better. I mean, in the last 5 games, like I said, Lions are 4-1. They're 5-0 against the spread. Perfect against the spread. Their only loss was Thanksgiving against the Bills, where they should have won. They lost on a last-second field goal. They were 9.5-point underdogs in that game. Should have won. Jared Goff's numbers at home, this is just crazy. 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, compared to just 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on the road. Fact, if the Lions played all 17 games at home, Jared Goff might be the MVP of the league. Vikings defense has allowed 300 or more passing yards in 4 straight games and 6 of their last 7. So the table's really set for Detroit to put up big numbers through the air. I also like the Vikings to move the ball through the air. I actually could see Dalvin Cook having himself a good game, even though the Lions have been pretty good at stopping opponent running backs. I could see Dalvin Cook having a good game, but it's important to take note that when these teams played in week 3, Justin Jefferson was held to 3 catches for 14 yards. The Lions double-teamed him the entire game. As long as Jeff Okudah plays at corner for Detroit, I don't see why the Lions won't do the exact same thing. Make Cousins beat the Lions without Jefferson. And I think the Vikings will score. I'm also on the over. I should put that on here. I think the Vikings will score too, which is why I'm also on the over. But I think that we might see the Detroit Lions score a lot. So I'm on the Lions, laying the points, and I'm taking the over.
Yeah, I'm taking the soft way here, to be honest. I think I would only play the Lions here, laying the number. With that being said, I chose to do a teaser with the Vikings up to 8. Well, I guess it would be 8.5 now. And then with the Ravens plus 7.5 as well. I just think it's the best value in this game. But the most annoying thing all week was this is such a trap game. How are the 10-2 Vikings dogs to Detroit? They stink. Have you paid attention all year? This is not a trap spot. The Lions are actually rated higher than the Vikings in a lot of statistical categories. The records don't matter when it comes to making a line. It was just the most annoying thing. Like, you had people that, like, don't even, like, follow the NFL, like, or betting like that, talking about it this week.
Yeah.
And it just annoyed the shit out of me. But the Lions went through a stretch this season where they were very unhealthy. They were missing multiple offensive linemen, DeAndre Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown during that stretch. And Brown actually makes this offense go. Goff, when St. Brown is in the lineup, has a .2 EPA per dropback. That's good for 4th in the NFL out of all 32 starters. When St. Brown is off the field, he would be 30th. So his numbers actually don't even show how good he would have been if they were fully healthy all year. And the Lions actually controlled this game for most of it in their last matchup, and then St. Brown and Swift left, and then the Vikings were able to mount a comeback. So I think the Lions are the better team in this one. And I would lay the points with them. But that being said, both teams tend to play close one-possession games. So I love getting either of them over a touchdown here. So the Vikings are the dog, so I chose to tease them up over a touchdown.
I love how someone's in the comments saying they can't stop Justin Jefferson. Bro, they did. In week 3 against the Lions, Justin Jefferson had 3 catches for 14 yards. Completely clamped him.
I was about to address that
like,
as well.
People just like say things without like, what? This is the team that did stop him. All right, go ahead, Prop Beaver.
Yeah, so I'm gonna lean Lions here. I just think that at home, this is a must bet on team. They've now covered their last 11 of 13 home games. The defense is much better at home. The offense is unreal at home. And that's why I'm going to be going with Jared Goff over 269.5 passing yards, minus 113 for a unit on FanDuel. This is pretty simple. Bet opposing quarterbacks passing yards over against the Vikings secondary, and you're going to make a lot of money. The last 9 of 11 starting QBs to face the Vikings have hit their passing prop over, and one of those misses came due to Skylar Thompson being injured mid-game. Guess what? Teddy Bridgewater stepped in, and he threw for 300-plus yards. Goff may only average 227 yards on the per game on the road, but at home, that jumps to 270. Goff's only road cash of the season on this line was against none other than this Vikings piss-poor secondary. Now he sees them at home, and in 2 career home games against the Vikings, he's thrown for 465 and 290 yards. And also, if you look at Goff's home chart in terms of hits and misses, he may only be 3 and 4 to the over, but guess what? The 3 hits were in the bottom 12 of pass yards per game allowed. The 4 misses, well, 3 of them are in the top 10 of pass defense DVOA. So when he plays these softer defenses at home, he's cashing this line every time and nearly flying over it. I see JJ getting a bit of revenge here, making things a bit interesting. I think this will ultimately be a shootout, and that's why I like him to go over the mark here.
All right. So kind of seems like we're kind of all on the same side here, just maybe betting it a little differently. Next game. Someone's saying it's snowing. Hold on one second. Snowing in New York. No, it's not snowing here. So it's not snowing in Jersey yet. Either way, that doesn't change my bet in that Eagles-Giants game. I still think the Eagles smash them.
I think it actually would benefit the Eagles, honestly.
The run or the pass in that game. So I'm on the Eagles either way. Anyway, Steelers, Ravens Steelers. So I'm on the Ravens, but I'm gonna come out and say probably this line has dropped to 1.5. By the way, earlier this morning, probably my least favorite bet on the board. Shit. I know Beaver has a prop for you guys in this one too. So, yeah, I'm just riding the Ravens defense right now because it's the hottest in the league. I know the talk of the Ravens will always be Lamar Jackson. But the truth is he hasn't even played that well, and he's not even playing today anyway. But that's not the story of the Ravens hasn't been the offense or Lamar Jackson in recent weeks. This is the number 1 rush defense in the NFL in recent, maybe the last, hold on, I probably wrote it down here. Let's see here somewhere. But since the Ravens traded for Roquan Smith, They have the best run defense in the NFL, and the second best overall defense in the NFL. 49ers still are rated number 1, but no one's talking about the defense. And everyone's pretty down on Baltimore because they're 2-4 against the spread in their last 6. And I know that, like, especially if you take sports betting series, which I know a lot of the people watching do. So it's like in your head, you kind of have this negative view of the Ravens. Like, they're not covering, they're not covering. They're 2-4 against the spread, but they're 5-1 straight up in the last 6. So they're winning. And that's because of the defense. They keep finding a way to get it done. Now, I wish I jumped on this one early. If it was Baltimore getting a full 3, I would feel a lot more comfortable than 2, because this is definitely a field goal game. So you basically what I'm saying is I could cap this one perfectly, and the Steelers win by a field goal, and it went exactly how I thought it would go, and I still lose. So just getting 2, it's a slight lean on Baltimore. I'll probably put a half unit on it.
Yeah, I'm actually all over the Ravens in this one. I just said that I'm teasing them with the Vikings, so I'm teasing them up to +7.5. I think it's great value. Again, I don't see either side winning by more than a touchdown in this one, so I love the fact that I can get the Ravens up over that number. That being said, I would take the 1.5 with the Ravens. I would take the Ravens on the money line. All Tyler Huntley does is come in and run this offense super efficiently. I don't think, Lamar Jackson is fucking awesome. One of the best players to watch in the NFL. That being said, when you watch this Ravens offense with Tyler Huntley, the drop-off is not that significant from what it is when Lamar's there. He protects the football. He can make all the throws that Lamar can, if not even more, and he can get it done with his legs as well. And the Ravens are going to be able to lean on this defense. Kenny Pickett has impressed me so far this year as a rookie, but he still makes those rookie mistakes as expected. The secondary could give him troubles. The pass rush should be getting after the Steelers. And then not for nothing. I mean, I don't know how significant it is, but I just thought it was something to point out. This will be the Steelers' first game outdoors in 2 weeks because they were at the Falcons and at the Lions. So I think Baltimore's going to win this game outright.
Someone's saying in the comments that the weather in Pittsburgh is shitty. Let me check that out.
I just checked that. There's no precipitation or anything like that. All it's saying is that it's cloudy.
Yo, people in the comments are crazy.
On the Northeast.
See, people in the comments are crazy. They just be like saying whatever.
I see a lot. Yeah, I just checked the weather around here too. I see 0 signs of snow. I see
there's
rain.
nothing. I just looked.
Snow.
No, it's like a low chance of rain. I don't know what they're talking about. Someone said in before comments, "Yo guys, Lamar Jackson isn't playing." Well, yeah, duh. We knew that a week ago. All right, Prop Beaver, where are you at?
So for this game, I like Najee Harris under 54.5 rushing yards, -110, full unit on that bad boy. The books do not give out free money, and Najee's rush attempt total is only at 14.5. That's just about as free money as it gets, considering he has 17 plus in his last 3 or 4 games, and looks like he's starting to surge. But I'm not looking at the attempts. I'm looking at the yards here, as he's going to face the Ravens defense. That's a nightmare against running backs. They're first in opponent rush attempts per game, second in opponent rushing yards, and tied for second in opponent yards per carry. Over the last 5 weeks, they're allowing just 2.8 yards per carry. As a result, just 1 of the last 6 RBs to face Baltimore have hit their rushing prop total. And in 2 games versus Baltimore last year, Harris was just 1-1 to the total. He needed 21 attempts to cash his lone hit against the Steelers last year and still only averaged 3.4 yards per carry in that game. What's really stood out to me, though, is I mentioned the 14.5 rush attempt total. Well, they're vigging it to the under. Some books have it at 13.5. With 14 or less carries, he's 5-0 to the under this season, averaging 30.4 yards per game. And if we go back to last year, he's an 11-0 to the under with 14 or less carries, averaging 30.7 yards per game. I just find there's more value on the rushing yards and the rush attempts. We did a little line reading, and I hope it pays off for us.
Yo, people are mad funny in the comments.
Yo, real quick, somebody pointed out, I said the Steelers were at the Lions. 2 weeks ago, it was at the Colts. It was just another shit team that wears blue. My bad on that. But also, checking in real quick, I'm going to get on my prop Beaver. Mark Andrews over 57.5 receiving yards. He actually averages over 73 when Huntley's in the lineup.
Mm-hmm. I saw that. The only thing I'm concerned about is the fact that there's no Marquise Brown or Rashad Bateman on the outside.
True. To
draw away coverage, because that's what was the case in last year's game. Now there's none of that. I mean, they're likely going to have Minka along with either a linebacker or corner bracket Mark Andrews all game. I mean, I don't mind the bet. I actually like it quite a bit. But when I saw his receptions total only at 4.5, that sussed me out quite a bit.
You know, I was like, yo, people are crazy just saying random ass weather, and people just started saying there's a tsunami in Cincinnati right now. Someone said, and someone else when Sean was talking, someone was like, yo, does Sean go both ways?
The comments are having a day.
Oh shit, it's too funny. All right, next game. I spent,
Denver.
This didn't take me long to get where I needed to go in this one. Give me Denver. Give me the under. Was it at 44? 44. All right. So, this is a simple one here. This line is completely blown out of proportion. The Chiefs' offense is great. One of the best offenses in the NFL. But look at their point totals in their recent games. 24, 26, 30, 27, 20. I mean, that's not exactly lighting the scoreboard up. We're talking about laying damn near 10 points on the road here. And want to see the point total? Want to see the point totals that Denver has allowed recently? Check this out. This is the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. 10, 23, 16, 17, 17, 16, 16, 9. What the hell? How are you going to lay 9, 9.5, 10 points to a team that's allowing 15.5 points a game over their last 8? I mean, I get it. We have had a great time. A lot of laughs at Russell Wilson's expense. And I mean, it's been awesome. I've been on the Russell Wilson is overrated and sucks train for about 4 years, so I'm happy that everyone is boarding with me now. But this happens every single week, and it has for a few years now. Ever since the Mahomes mania started, Kansas City's line is seriously inflated. The public's always heavy on Kansas City. Everyone swears they bet the Chiefs every week and they make a fortune. And what do you know? The Chiefs are always below 500 against the spread. You do not make money betting the Chiefs, ever. And what do you know? It's happening again this year. Chiefs just 4-7 against the spread. Yeah, they'll win, but they don't cover many numbers. So I'm the Broncos in the under.
Yeah, I'm on the under here. Easiest bet I made all week. The Broncos have played one game this year that would have hit this number, and that was against the Raiders. That being said, the Chiefs' offense is number 1 in DVOA, obviously, but this Broncos defense is insane against the pass. They're top 3 in pass yards allowed per game, and they're top 7 defense in terms of DVOA in their own right. And this Chiefs defense is terrible. 25th in DVOA. They give up a shit ton of points as well. But this Broncos offense can't get out of their own way. Their coach couldn't coach himself out of a paper bag. Russell Wilson is awful. Now Cortland Sutton isn't going to play in this one. They don't really have a running game. It's just, I don't see any offense in this game. I see the Chiefs winning like 17-6, like 17-7. Like, I don't know.
I can see that. Hopefully it's 17-10. But yeah, under sounds good. Breaking news, someone just said there's an earthquake happening in Denver right now, so might affect the handicap. Where are you at, Mr. Prop Beaver?
I don't know. I hate this game because, quite frankly, I want to bet the Chiefs really badly, but I just don't think it's the smart move. Yes, they cover a lot against the Broncos. They've covered the last 6 or 7 at Denver. Forget overall. At Denver, they've covered the last 6 or 7 games, but they're not doing it by like 9 points. They're doing it by like 3 points. And is the difference of these teams greater than it has been in years past? And I don't know. I don't know. Russell Wilson's terrible, but honestly, so is the Chiefs' defense. What has the Chiefs' defense shown us that is really making us so convinced that the Chiefs are just going to crip walk their way to a victory here? I mean, this Denver Broncos defense is still legit, and at home, they play out of their minds. So, I mean, if the total's this low, then I'm going to take the points. Give me under 44 and give me the Broncos. Both very light plays. Both make me want to throw up, but I think they're the right move.
Denver, baby. Denver money line. No, fuck with you. No way.
Dude, stop. Stop.
No, I would never.
I don't think a sports book could give me a free bet for that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no way. Next game. Bucks 49ers. I believe this is the game of the week as far as I don't even know what the game of the week means anymore. It used to be like the primetime TV one, but now who the hell doesn't watch the Red Zone channel or have
the
Sunday
greatest
ticket?
quarterback of all time versus Mr. Irrelevant.
Brock Dirty.
The greatest quarterback of all time versus Tom Brady. All right. I'm on Bucks plus 3.5. Did I bet a total in this game? Let me check my notes. I'm thinking
Under.
Oh, yeah, I think I-
yeah,
37, but yeah, I'm on the under.
Yep, I am on the under. So, under 37. Let me just check to make sure this line hasn't moved because everything's moving. Where is this one? Nope, still 3.5. All right, cool. So, I am on the Bucks. This is a pure fade. This is not a bet on the Bucks. This is a pure fade of a 7th round pick rookie quarterback starting against a defense like Tampa Bay. Brock Purdy, yeah, he looked all right last week. He walked into a literal perfect situation for a backup quarterback at home against Miami, the worst road defense in the NFL by far, who didn't even prepare for him. They prepared to play defense against Jimmy Garoppolo. They had no idea. They have zero film on Brock Purdy. They had no idea what to expect from this kid when he came in mid-game. This is a completely different story. This is the Tampa Bay Bucks, the best road defense in the NFL. So the Dolphins were the worst road defense in the NFL that Brock Purdy saw last week. Now he sees the best road defense in the NFL in Tampa Bay. And Todd Bowles, one of the best defensive minds in the NFL, I think we can agree to say, has a week to prepare and some film to watch on Brock Purdy. There's no way he's catching the Bucks off the Tampa Bay Bucks off guard like he caught the Miami Dolphins off guard. I think the 49ers offense is in real trouble. The Bucks are also first in the NFL at limiting receiving yards to running backs. That's what the 49ers do. Christian McCaffrey in the flats, Debo in the flats. The Bucks are awesome against that. Their linebackers are so fast sideline to sideline. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not backing the Bucks offense against San Francisco's defense. The 49ers defense is nuts. And Nick Bosa is going to play. I saw on Twitter this morning. So he didn't practice all week, but he is going to play. I think we're looking at two offenses that are going to have a lot of trouble moving the ball here. This is going to be low scoring, which is why I'm on the under, which is why the Bucks have the total all the way down at 37. This is going to be the type of game where one turnover could be the difference. And who do you trust to make that turnover? I mean, you trust this is a 7th round pick. The 49ers were not expecting Brock Purdy to see the field for at least 2 years, if ever. And he's in there now as a rookie? No way. I trust the ball in Tom Brady's hands a lot more than his. I think we're looking at like a 14-13 game. So this is a field goal game all the way. So getting 3 and a hook, I have to take it.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Bucks here and on the under as well. Anytime there's a total under 40, I immediately take a look at the underdog because that's the team that I want to be on in a low total game. I want to be able to catch the points. And then admittedly, I've been like really backing this Bucks team the last few weeks. After that Rams walk-off touchdown, I was like, that's the type of win that causes the team to turn a corner. But then they came out, looked like shit against the Saints, laid an egg versus the Browns. Still got it done versus Saints, but that offense looked terrible outside the final 2 minutes. But this Bucks offense has stunk with the injured O-line, and I don't expect it to get a lot better versus this 49ers defense. But that being said, I feel like the market and people are not grasping how big of a drop-off Jimmy G is to Brock Purdy. This 49ers offense, since Kyle Shanahan has been the head coach with Jimmy G, the 49ers average 2.35 points per drive. Without him, they average 1.66 points per drive. Ooh. That's a significant downgrade. And then with Jimmy G in the red zone, the 49ers scored a touchdown at a 59% clip. Without him, that drops to 48%. So not only are they moving the ball less efficiently, they're not punching it in the end zone as often without him on the field. And I don't think this line grasps I'm not saying Purdy's bad, but he's not he doesn't run the offense as good as Jimmy G. He looked okay versus the Dolphins, as you pointed out, but now there's a better defense that he's facing. There's now film on him that the defense can study, and the chances of him being actually good where he was drafted are slim to none. The only person who could be an anomaly like that is a guy on the other sideline, is Tom Brady. So I just gave you all that, but I think it also boils down to, are you really not going to take the points with Tom Brady versus Mr. Irrelevant?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. What about Mr. Beaver?
Yeah. So firmly in agreement with you on both sides here. And normally I don't put team props or game props as official plays for myself on the Twitter sphere. But I broke the streak the other night putting that Bucks team total under on, and I'm gonna put a game prop here as an official play. Dude, give me that under. I mean, everything is working
What
towards
under?
this
What
under
under?
as under
37? Or are you talking about a team
37.
total?
Under 37.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about a team total. That's why. Go ahead.
No, game total. I mean, the Bucks this season on the road, 0-5 to the over. If you look at the 49ers at home, heading into that Miami game, they were 4-1 to the under. And really what I like about this is the Buccaneers road defense, number 1 in the NFL. This is going to be such a culture shock seeing the Dolphins bottom 3 defense on the road to seeing the Tampa Bay defense on the road. It is going to be insane. Brock Purdy, I just don't think has, I guess, the chemistry with these receivers to really hurt Tampa deep. And on top of that, I think that the Tampa Bay rush defense is going to be able to hold McCaffrey in check. McCaffrey's been able to do damage through the air, but if you look at his rushing totals as a 49er, he's been quite inefficient. I mean, averaging under 4 yards per carry in a couple of those games. Now you got to face Tampa. That's not great. And as Kyle said in his video yesterday, Tampa allows the fewest yards per game to running backs out of the backfield. They're also 4th in DVOA against these guys. I think if they're able to shut McCaffrey down, then Brock Purdy's going to have to win it for the Niners. And I just think that's way too much to ask from him. Brady's just going to get lucky another game as he always does and cover the spread and maybe even possibly win this one. This is giving heavy Packers Bucks vibes from week 3 or week 4 where the game was an absolute shitter. Expecting the same here.
All right. Man, people in the comments are crazy. Panthers, Seahawks. So I'm on all right, so I'm on Carolina. I don't love it, but at the same time, the more I looked at it, I don't hate it either. It's like it would be, if I'm ranking my plays from favorite to least favorite, it would probably be right around the middle, probably. It's very simple reasoning why. So Panthers are playing with a new energy right now. They're 3-0 against the spread in their last 3. And Seattle's kind of doing the exact opposite. The Seattle Seahawks defense has really come back to down to earth. It was riding a high, but it's not performing at the same level it was a month ago. And do you know that the Seahawks haven't covered a spread in over a month? November 6th was the last time the Seattle Seahawks covered. They were a hot ticket back in October when no one was really expecting much from the Seahawks. But then you threw Seattle into the NFC playoff discussion. People start talking about Geno, Pro Bowler, possible outside MVP, all kinds of crazy shit. And Seattle starts laying numbers like 4, 5, 6. And what do you know? They haven't covered in over a month. And they're also just not playing at the same level, too. They're losing games, too. Not just not covering. They're losing. Plain and simple, the Panthers are trending upwards and the Seahawks are trending downwards. And I think Carolina's going to be able to run the ball in this game enough to keep it close. That's one thing I've noticed is Christian McCaffrey leaves Carolina, and all of a sudden the Panthers have a little bit of a hard-nosed running game. I mean, I know they really screwed me when I bet the Falcons against them, and the Panthers come out running the ball. I'm trying to see how many weeks ago that was. All right, so it was 3 weeks ago. Yeah, it was 3 weeks ago, and Foreman's ripping off 5-6 yards a carry. I was like, the hell is going on? I did not see this coming, and it didn't just happen once. This Dante Foreman run game with Carolina's working, and they're covering spreads 3 in a row. So I'm getting a 4. I think it's a field goal game.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go full AJ in this one and say I'm not betting it, but I'm on the Seahawks, but I don't love it at all. This is probably my least favorite bet of the week. This is honestly just a pure fade of Sam Darnold. He looked okay last week. But he wasn't asked to do much. He didn't have to do anything to really keep them in that game versus the Broncos. The defense kept him in it. He just had to be safe with the football. Only threw for 160 some odd yards. That's not going to be the case in this one. Yeah, Kenneth Walker is going to be out for the Seahawks in this one. But they still have Tyler Lockett. They still have Metcalf. And I I have no choice. Sam Darnold is going to have to win a game where he's going to have to put up like 17 to 20 points. I just don't see it, honestly. He's not going to be able to lean on that run game. But people are forgetting like how bad Sam Darnold is. The more you see him, the more chances he's going to make a mistake. I don't love the game, but I can't back Sam Darnold here.
To answer someone's question, that's my bad. In the pie charts on the screen, they're looking at the pie chart for the Golden State Warriors Utah Jazz game. So sorry about that. That's a graphics error on my end. We don't have a large staff here, so most of the stuff you see on the screen is made by me or Prop Beaver. I'm going to fix that for you while Prop Beaver's talking, so you can see the actual chart. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm getting yelled at being told, Beaver, fix the screen, do your job.
No,
what
I'm producing today. This one's on me. I'm trying out the new software, and then Beaver will be back to his producing duties. Where are you at in this game, though?
All right. I'm not really in love with this game either. I feel like with the money and the bets on the Carolina Panthers, it kind of makes me want to ride with the Seahawks. But the one thing that I'm really not loving here is I think that the Seahawks might be a bit one-dimensional. Travis Homer is not a pounder of the rock. He is a receiver out of the backfield at best. And I think the Panthers are going to be able to stuff them up front. That means that Geno's going to have to beat them through the air, which I think he is capable of doing. But I'm not really seeing it here for this team. I think that the Panthers overall are just on a hot streak right now. Everybody's playing free. They don't have anything to worry about. There's zero expectations of this team. Meanwhile, the Seahawks, like about 3 weeks ago, seemed like they were destined for the playoffs, and now we're putting themselves in a position where they could possibly miss it. That's scary. But I'm going to take the Panthers here. I think it's the right side.
Cool. Oh shit. By the way, it's fixed. So you can see, Public is leading Seattle with all the money on Carolina. So Sharps like Carolina here. Public's like Seattle. All right. Last game coming. Sunday Night Football. And if nothing else, we should see some sparks in this one. Holy shit. Dolphins, Chargers. And I think I put this one on YouTube, so some of you probably already know what I'm about to talk about. I think the main story here is the injuries on the Chargers defense. This total was up. When I put the YouTube video yesterday, it was 53.5. It's now 54.5. So obviously they're taking action on the over and they don't like it. So I'm on the Dolphins and the over here. So the injuries to the Chargers defense, right? So obviously we know they're already without Joey Bosa and J.C. Jackson. Their best corner and their best edge rusher. Well, Khalil Mack's there, but I still think Joey Bosa would be their guy. Whatever. Elite edge rusher and an elite corner was playing all right. But so missing those two guys. That's already before we even start discussing the injuries. Now, they're going to be without their Bryce Callahan, their slot corner. He's out. Derwin James, the best remaining player on that defense, is out. And they're missing Sebastian Joseph Day, who's their best run stopper. Add it up, and what are you looking at? You're looking at a defense that's already bad. That's missing 5 out of 11 starters. This is Miami. And you're missing players in the secondary and the pass rush against a team with Tua, who leads the NFL in passer rating, leads the NFL in yards per attempt. You have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, both who can line up in the slot. And like I said, they're missing their slot corner. I don't think there's any reason that the Dolphins don't score in the 40s. In fact, I think a nice SGP for this one would be something along the lines of tease a Dolphins team total over 39.5. I don't know how they make a single stop. That being said, the Chargers on offense are also missing their right tackle. They're already missing Rashawn Slater. They've been missing him for a while. Now they're missing the other guy he missed last week too. And we saw what happened last week when the Chargers played without both of their offensive tackles. The Raiders had 5 sacks. I'm not spending too much time on the Chargers offense because I don't care if it's the 3rd and 4th tackles in there, 5th and 6th. I don't care if they got Boise State tackles in there. This is the Dolphins defense on the road, so the Chargers are going to score points back, without a doubt. Eckler, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, all healthy. Chargers are going to score. But even if the Chargers only punt twice in this game, that's 2 more times than the Miami's going to be punting. I'm taking the Dolphins and the over. Sean? Wait, can anyone hear Sean?
Can
you hear him,
I
AJ?
can't hear him.
That's on me. That's on me.
Oh, he's good. I hear him
Okay.
now.
Yeah, I had it muted. But yeah, I don't love a side in this one. That being said, I'm all over the over. As you pointed out, the number's super high, but it's super high for a reason. The Dolphins are the second best offense in terms of DVOI, while the Chargers defense is 23rd. The Dolphins should be able to do whatever they want in this one. As you pointed out, the Chargers are banged up as well, so they're already not a good defense. Now they're an injured bad defense. The Chargers offense, while they're 25th in offensive DVOA, they're still better than that, and they still average 22.7 points per game. They've been banged up all year. It's kind of hurting their metrics. And this Dolphins defense is 17th in terms of DVOA. But the Chargers should be able to move the ball effectively in this one. Have anybody watched Miami this year and thought they were like an average defense? I would say they're more towards the below average side of things. And both teams predominantly want to get it done throwing through the air. The Dolphins are second in pass yards per game, while the Chargers are 6th. And both pass defenses are 22nd and 19th in yards allowed per game through the air, respectively. I think both teams have success throwing it in this one. Going to lead to big plays, which is going to lead to this over cashing.
And Mr. Prop Beaver.
Yeah, so not really much to add on to what you guys said. I agree with pretty much all of it. I'm going with both the Miami -3.5 and the over 54.5. Derwin James's absence could not be more important to the Chargers' defensive success, and I just think just about everybody on the Dolphins should have a good game here. You might see Trent Sherfield pop off for 100+ yards. That's how the Dolphins will be feeling today. And then obviously, I say it every week, just take the team total over of the opposing team against the Chargers. Against the Dolphins on the road. And that continues to cash. So why not just combine both team total overs and just bet the full game over? So I love there to be points. The primetime unders that were cashing earlier in the season, that shit has stopped. The overs continue to smack right now in primetime. I have zero clue why. And I think it's going to continue to do so tonight. Also, I just think 2-0 coming off his worst game of the season, that is a nice buy-in spot.
All right, so it looks like we're all on the same page there. Dude, not many disagreements here. I know Tennessee, Jacksonville, me and Sean are on opposite sides there. And then it sounds like Carolina that you guys were both leading Seattle, and I'm on the Panthers. But other than that, pretty solid across. Oh, no, Sean likes the Cowboys. I'm on the Texans. But overall, we're on the same page on most of the
record,
games.
I don't like the Cowboys. No, I'm just kidding.
You're a low-key fan. You're a stan.
Yeah, I'm a stan.
All right. Oh, do either of you guys have a parlay you want to give out? I only have 2, so I'm saving them for the VIPs. But if you guys have one, give out. I'll put it on the screen for you. If not, we can close it up.
Yeah, I got an underdog money line parlay that I put together. 3 legs. Ravens money line, Browns money line, Bucks money line. I think this has a really good chance of hitting if the Browns are able to get it done. And that's coming back at plus 1332.
Wow, that's a ballsy one. I did an underdog money line parlay too. It has one of those legs. All right, cool. Thanks everyone for watching. As always, let's have a great Sunday. Let's reel in some units. We're coming off a good Sunday last week, and we're coming off a great week in all sports. Sean and Toast are killing college basketball. The only sport that's holding it back is NBA. We're getting fucking slaughtered. Just getting slaughtered. Pardon my language. But everything else has been solid, and the Army-Navy game I'm not counting because that sucks. So let's have a great Sunday. Thanks to you all for watching, and talk to you soon. Later.